The rain pounded against the windows as I sat on the worn-out couch in Lucas's apartment, nursing a cheap beer and feeling sorry for myself. My life was a mess, and the chaos that had become my apartment was a stark reflection of that. The guy upstairs had left his bathtub running, turning my place into a swamp and soaking everything I owned. I was left with no choice but to crash at Lucas's while the repairs dragged on. That's where she walked into my world. Ava, Lucas's younger sister. I was sitting there, sipping my beer and wallowing in self-pity, when she breezed through the door. She was stunning, with long dark hair and bright green eyes that seemed to sparkle with a mischievous light. Her confident smile hit me like a punch to the chest, and I couldn't help but laugh despite myself when she teased, "You must be the flood victim." Her voice was warm, and she sat down next to me, closer than she needed to. She started asking me questions about my ruined apartment, my job, my life, like she actually cared. It felt good, like I was the only guy in the world worth talking to. We hit it off fast, and within a week, we were texting non-stop. By the end of the month, we were dating. Ava had this magnetic pull that made people notice her, want to be around her. At parties, she'd be in the middle of the crowd, laughing and telling stories, her hands waving as she talked. Guys would hover, offering her drinks, and girls would hang on her every word. I'd watch from the sidelines, proud she was mine, but also a little uneasy. She was just friendly, I told myself. She loved the attention, but she was with me. Our first official date was at this little Italian place with red checkered tablecloths. I'd gotten there early, nervous but excited, wearing a shirt I'd ironed just for her. She was supposed to meet me at 6:30, but by 7, there was still no sign of her. I texted her nothing. I called, no answer. Finally, at 7:20, she strolled in, hair messy like she'd just rolled out of bed, smiling like it was no big deal. "Sorry, babe, got caught up with Sabrina," she said, sliding into the seat across from me. I wanted to be mad, but then she reached over, squeezed my hand, and started talking about her day like nothing was wrong. I let it slide. Love is about compromise, I told myself, sipping my water and nodding along. But it wasn't just that one time. She was late for everything: dinners, movies, even my birthday party once. And every time, I'd wait, feeling like an idiot, but I'd forgive her because I didn't want to lose her. She had this way of making me feel special, like I was the center of her universe. She'd show up at my place with takeout and a bottle of wine, and we'd talk for hours. She had this effortless charm that made it easy to overlook the red flags. Looking back, I can see it wasn't always real. She'd flirt with waiters right in front of me, laughing it off when I'd frown. "Relax, babe, it's just fun," she'd say, and I'd let it go. She'd cancel plans last minute, leaving me waiting, but then she'd flash that smile, and I'd forgive her instantly. I told myself it was fine, that she was lively and spontaneous, the opposite of boring old me. I liked that about her, or at least I thought I did. People would tell me how lucky I was, how Ava was one of a kind, and I'd nod, grinning because yeah, she was. But that magnetic pull she had, it wasn't just for me. It was for everyone. And deep down, I think I knew that from the start. I'd lie awake sometimes, listening to her breathe next to me, wondering if I was enough for someone like her. She was always chasing something: attention, excitement, the next big moment, and I was just me, steady and reliable, the guy who paid his bills on time and didn't make waves. But she'd roll over, throw an arm across my chest, and I'd push those doubts away. She chose me, I'd tell myself. Out of everyone, she's here with me. And for a while, that was enough. 3 years ago, when we met, I thought I'd found the woman I'd spend my life with. I thought I knew her laugh, her quirks, the way she'd light up when she talked about her dreams. But now, looking back, I realize I didn't know her at all. I saw what I wanted to see, and that was my first mistake. From the outside, Ava and I looked like the perfect couple. We'd go out to dinners, hold hands, and laugh like we didn't have a care in the world. People would comment on how lucky I was, how Ava was one of a kind, and I'd nod and smile, playing the part of the proud, steady boyfriend. But inside, I was a mess of doubts and insecurities. Ava's professional life was a roller coaster. She'd get hired at some marketing firm, all excited about the creative energy and potential, but it never lasted. 3 months here, 6 months there, and then she'd be out, ranting about how her boss was a total jerk who didn't appreciate her vision. I'd sit on the couch, listening to her pace around our apartment, her voice getting louder as she trashed whoever she'd just walked away from. "They're all idiots," she'd say, tossing her hair like she was above it all. I'd nod, try to calm her down, maybe suggest she stick it out next time. "You don't understand," she'd snap, and I'd back off. Once, she got fired for missing a big deadline. She blamed it on her team, said they sabotaged her. I wanted to ask how that made sense, but I didn't. I just paid the rent that month when her half didn't show up. Red flag? Sure. Did I ignore it? You bet I did. While Ava's career was in shambles, her social life was thriving. She had this way of being the center of attention, no matter where we went. She'd laugh loudly, tell stories with dramatic flair, and people would flock to her. I'd watch from the sidelines, proud but uneasy. She'd flirt with waiters, bartenders, even strangers on the street. I'd frown, and she'd laugh it off. Relax, babe, it's just fun, she'd say, and I'd let it go. But it wasn't just fun. It was a pattern, a game she played to feed her ego. She needed every eye on her, every laugh directed at her jokes, every compliment aimed her way. And I was the steady, reliable guy who paid for it all. Ava had expensive taste designer bags, fancy dinners, last-minute weekend getaways. I had a steady job, nothing fancy, just a desk gig that paid the rent and kept the lights on. But Ava's money came and went like a breeze. She'd blow whatever she made on clothes or nights out, then turn to me with those big green eyes and say, "Babe, can you cover this one? I'll get you back." I always said yes. I was the responsible one, the guy who didn't let things fall apart. So I picked up the slack. I told myself it was temporary, that she'd figure it out eventually. But she never did. The bills started piling up, and I realized I was the one footing them. I had to cut corners in my own life to keep hers going. No more lunches out with the guys from work, just a sandwich from home. No new clothes for me, even when my shoes started wearing thin. Meanwhile, Ava was posting pictures online, posing with that Mercedes she'd begged me to co-sign for, or sipping cocktails at some rooftop bar, looking like she had it all together. People would comment, goals or living the dream, and I'd feel this weird mix of pride and panic. Pride because she was mine, panic because I was drowning trying to hold her up. I'd tell myself it was love, that this was what you did for someone you cared about. But every time I swiped my card for her, every time I said yes when I wanted to say no, I felt a little piece of myself slip away. Ava's car situation was the final straw. Her old beater finally gave out one rainy afternoon, and she called me, practically in tears. "It's dead, babe. I'm stranded. What am I supposed to do?" I told her we'd figure it out, maybe get something used but reliable. But she had her heart set on that Mercedes. Next thing I knew, we were at the dealership, her practically bouncing as she ran her fingers over the hood of this shiny new car. "This is it," she said, grinning at me. "This is the one." I looked at the price tag, way more than she could ever afford, and honestly more than I wanted to deal with. But she kept going. "I need this, babe. It'll make me feel good about myself. You want me to be happy, right?" She leaned into me, her voice soft, and I caved. We worked out a loan, but her credit was shot from all those missed payments on random stuff she'd bought over the years. So I co-signed it. Worse, I started helping with the monthly payments because her new job wasn't covering it yet. "Once I land something stable, I'll pay you back," she promised, sitting across from me at our tiny kitchen table. She looked so serious, her hands wrapped around a coffee mug, and I believed her. I wanted to believe her. But as I lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, I wondered how long I could keep this up. It wasn't just the money, it was the way she acted, like it was normal, like I owed her this life she couldn't pay for. She'd come home with a new handbag, some leather thing that cost more than my rent, and I'd ask, "How'd you swing that?" She'd laugh, twirl it around and say, "Don't worry about it, babe. It's an investment." An investment in what? I never got a straight answer, but I'd smile, kiss her forehead, and let it go. Fighting about it felt harder than just dealing with it. I started cutting corners in my own life to keep hers going. No more lunches out with the guys from work, just a sandwich from home. No new clothes for me, even when my shoes started wearing thin. Meanwhile, Ava was posting pictures online, posing with that Mercedes or sipping cocktails at some rooftop bar, looking like she had it all together. People would comment, goals or living the dream, and I'd feel this weird mix of pride and panic. Pride because she was mine, panic because I was drowning trying to hold her up. I'd tell myself it was love, that this was what you did for someone you cared about. But every time I swiped my card for her, every time I said yes when I wanted to say no, I felt a little piece of myself slip away. The anniversary dinner was supposed to be a celebration of our love, but it turned into a nightmare. I had planned everything meticulously, from the reservation at allure to the suit I wore, hoping to impress Ava and show her how much she meant to me. But as the minutes ticked by and she didn't show, I realized something was off. When Ava finally arrived, 3 hours late, she wasn't alone. She walked in with her friends, laughing and clearly already tipsy. They crowded around our table, their loud chatter filling the air. Ava barely acknowledged me, instead focusing on her friends and their amusement. Then, she said it the words that would change everything. "See, told you he'd still be here like a pathetic puppy," she announced loudly, her friends bursting into laughter. I sat there, stunned and humiliated, as they continued to mock me. Noah, one of her friends, even chimed in, "Damn, she wasn't kidding. You're trained real good." In that moment, I saw Ava for who she truly was, someone who didn't care about my feelings or the effort I put into our relationship. She was more concerned with her image and having a good time with her friends, even if it meant humiliating me in public. I didn't react, didn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. Instead, I calmly excused myself and left the restaurant, blocking her number as I walked out. Lucas picked me up, and as we drove back to my place, I knew I had to take action. Ava had taken advantage of me for too long, and it was time to dismantle the life she had built on my back. I started by canceling the payments for her Mercedes, the car she loved so much but couldn't afford. I called the bank and reported financial manipulation, ensuring the next payment would bounce. Next, I gathered evidence of Ava's true nature, voicemails where she trash-talked her boss, her best friend, and even her parents. I saved them all in a folder, knowing they would come in handy later. I also accessed her work email, finding messages where she used her company account for personal endeavors and badmouthed her colleagues. I screenshotted everything, planning to use it against her. By morning, Ava was already feeling the consequences of her actions. She tried calling and texting, but I ignored her attempts to reach me. The bank had notified her about the missed car payment, and she was panicking. I could almost hear her frantic voice as she left voicemails, begging me to fix the situation. But I didn't budge. I sent one of the voicemails, where Ava called her boss a spineless creep, to his email, making sure to include her boss in the recipients. The fallout was swift. By noon, Ava texted me, furious that she had been fired. I deleted the message, feeling a sense of satisfaction that she was finally facing the consequences of her actions. But I wasn't done yet. I forwarded another voicemail, this one of Ava insulting her parents, to them. I used a burner email to ensure anonymity, and by the afternoon, Ava was in full meltdown mode. She texted me from yet another number, telling me her parents wouldn't even talk to her. I ignored her message, knowing that her world was crumbling around her. The car was the final blow. Ava had always relied on me to make the payments, and with the bank notified of the missed payment, repossession was imminent. I called the bank to confirm, and they assured me the process was underway. Ava's prized Mercedes, the symbol of her status and success, would soon be gone. As I sat on my couch that night, I felt a sense of resolution. I had taken the first steps to reclaim my life and dismantle the facade Ava had built. But I knew this was just the beginning. Ava's collapse had started, and I was determined to see it through to the end. I couldn't let her get away with how she had treated me, and I wouldn't stop until she understood the pain she had caused. In the months that followed, I focused on rebuilding my life. I changed the locks on my apartment, rearranged the furniture, and made the space truly mine again. I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes, waiting for Ava's texts or calls. The silence was golden. No more begging, no more whining, just me in my own space. I started sleeping better, eating healthier, and even took up running. I'd go out in the mornings, the air cold against my face, feeling stronger every day. Life wasn't perfect, but it was better, way better, without Ava dragging me down. I had a steady job, and I'd even gotten a raise a few weeks back. I was going out more, grabbing beers with Lucas or catching a game with the guys from the office. I didn't spend my nights waiting for someone who'd never show up. My bank account was mine again, no more bailing Ava out, no more watching my money vanish into her hands. I'd even picked up a few new hobbies like reading and cooking. I was discovering who I was without Ava's shadow looming over me. One morning, as I sat at my kitchen table eating a bowl of cereal and scrolling through my phone, an email popped up from Ava. It was the first I'd heard from her since the chaos settled, and seeing her name in my inbox hit me like a jolt, part surprise, part dread. I put the spoon down, wiped my hands on my jeans, and opened it, not sure what to expect. The message was short, typed out carelessly, as if she hadn't even bothered to proofread. "I don't know why you're doing this to me. You're overreacting. I thought you loved me. I miss you." That was it. No apology, no real explanation, just her throwing out words like they'd magically fix everything. I read it once, then again, letting each line sink in. My kitchen was quiet, just the hum of the fridge in the background, and I sat there, staring at the screen, feeling a strange mix of anger and nothing at all. She still didn't get it. After everything, her laughing at me in that restaurant, her losing it all, she still thought she could guilt me back into her life. I leaned back in my chair, running a hand through my hair, and thought about where I was now. The apartment was mine again, clean and simple, with no trace of her left. I'd gotten rid of all her stuff, donated it to charity, and wiped the slate clean. I had a stable job, a peaceful life, and a sense of self-worth that I hadn't felt in years. I thought about replying, just for a second. I could have typed out everything: how she'd humiliated me at Lorraine, how I'd sat there while her friends laughed, how I'd spent years paying for her dreams while she mocked me behind my back. I could have told her about the car, the job, her stuff in the landfill, how I dismantled her life piece by piece because she'd pushed me too far. But then I stopped. What was the point? She wouldn't listen. She'd never listened. She'd twist it around, cry about how I was the bad guy, how she was the victim in all this. I'd seen it before, those big eyes filling with tears, that shaky voice begging me to forgive her. And I wasn't falling for it again. She didn't deserve my words, my time, my anything. I'd given her enough already. So I deleted it. Just like that, I highlighted the email, hit the trash button, and watched it disappear from my inbox. No hesitation, no second thoughts. It felt good, clean, like scrubbing a stain off the counter. I picked up my spoon, took another bite of cereal, and kept scrolling some dumb meme Lucas had sent, a news headline I didn't care about. Ava's message was gone, and I wasn't going back to dig it out. I finished my breakfast, rinsed the bowl, and headed out for a run. The morning air was crisp, the sky gray but brightening, and my shoes hit the pavement in a steady rhythm. I thought about her email as I ran, how it was her last try, her final swing at getting me back. She didn't know why I'd done it. Fine. She didn't need to. I'd done it because she'd shown me who she really was, and I believed her finally. That line stuck with me, something I'd heard somewhere, maybe from Lucas or some old movie. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. I hadn't. Not for 3 years. But I did now. I picked up my pace, my breath puffing out in little clouds, and felt the weight of her fade with every step. She was the past, and I was moving forward. I didn't miss her, not the real her, the one who'd shown up that night at the restaurant, loud and cruel and careless. I missed the idea of her, maybe back when I thought she was someone worth loving. But that was over. I'd learned my lesson, and I wasn't unlearning it for her. As I ran, the city waking up around me, I felt a sense of clarity. I'd been through a storm, but I'd come out stronger. I'd faced my fears, stood up for myself, and reclaimed my life. And in doing so, I'd found a peace that I hadn't known was possible. The story didn't end with a neat bow, but that was okay. Life isn't always tidy. Sometimes it's messy and complicated and full of questions. But that's what makes it real. And as I ran, the sun rising over the city, I knew that I was ready for whatever came next. I was ready to live, to love, to be true to myself. And that was enough.